problem, sir.
Okay, guys, so we're recording this because Sir Ernest is gonna share something with us. I think it's very important, so we'll be uploading this in a private group. Sige, Sir Ernan, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. So, hi guys. So there, I just had this speak up session with British Council. Pretty much like an actual speaking exam, but they don't give you the score. They give you feedback though. So with that, these were some of the feedback that I got, and I just told the interlocutor that I was aiming for a band 9 from the beginning of the
Right, sir.
exam.
Yeah.
So upon that, when he started
Wait, sir,
explaining,
if I may stop
yeah,
you. The interlocutor is Caucasian, foreign,
yes, sir, he was
like
Caucasian.
American,
No, if I am not mistaken, he
British.
even not really, sir. Dutch. He didn't sound. He didn't have a British accent at all. He sounded either Swede, Dutch, or
Oh,
one of those.
a guy or a girl?
Yeah, guy, sir.
Indian older, sir.
Probably around his early
50s.
30s.
Oh, still young.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this was on camera, right?
Yes, sir. We had to
Okay.
turn on our video for this one.
Oh, yeah. It's like the actual speaking test, right?
Very much. Very much like
Okay.
that, sir.
And then, was
Mm,
he in the Philippines when this was being conducted?
No, because looking
Oh,
at it, sir, I think he was overseas because everything was bright around him. I actually wanted to
oh,
ask. I
yeah, like in the Philippines because it's so bright where you are.
yeah. I wanted to clarify it. Yeah, I think he
Okay.
wasn't.
This is, guys, Speak Up. Speak Up is
Hmm,
a British council. What do you call that, sir?
I think
It's a British council
I forgot.
benefit.
No, it's paid.
No,
It's
you
paid,
pay for
sir.
it.
Sir. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
so
two
it's not
thousand
a
nine
benefit.
hundred something.
Yeah, it's a British council offering where you can drill your
Hmm.
speaking to an actual examiner, correct, sir?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, sir.
And then
Um,
how much is this supposedly gonna cost?
it was supposed to be around 2,994. 30 minutes, actually. It was
Oh,
for 30 minutes.
Jack, you better spend on that instead of the Louis Vuitton. Yeah, and then the protocol is they really wouldn't give you any score for
No score.
3,000.
I know. They just
Who's
give you
gonna
feedback.
bite with that? I mean,
Yeah.
30 minutes. I
Yeah.
see. Not even an hour, no, sir.
Martin Arthur, he was actually very on time. I had a few more questions, but he said, "That's all the time we have."
Oh
So
shit!
yeah,
Come on, examiner.
yeah,
Like, can you just spare one more question?
yeah.
I see. Sir Ernan got this because of Ielts Einstein. So
Yes.
we've been we've been pleading with British Council to give training to our teachers. So this was great, no, sir?
Very,
Right?
very.
It's really great because he was a British Council examiner and you had like 30 minutes with him.
We had an
Sige, I'm
insight.
so excited, sir. Speak up, no? Speak
Right.
up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, sir.
Right.
Uh,
So,
one by one, sir. Like from the first
yeah.
last question.
So,
Sige, sir.
so for actually it started. It was very sudden. I thought he'd take it slow, but it was so quick. So basically, we went to the pretty quick introduction, and then he immediately jumped into part one. I wasn't even aware that the exam already started at that point. We
Oh,
just he just started bombarding me with questions.
there
Our
was
first
small talk, sir, at the start.
no small talk, sir,
No small
whatsoever. It's
talk.
like he just introduced himself. He asked my name, and then
Mhm.
suddenly, first question.
Okay, what was his
Yeah,
name, sir?
forgot it was complicated, sir. He
Oh,
said so.
it's
It
certainly
was
not.
yeah.
Certainly
That's
not
why
British
I
or
knew
American.
yeah, that's what gave me an idea it wasn't British,
Oh,
because he
okay.
sounded
But
very
was he
foreign.
like Asian, Middle Eastern?
No, sir.
Parang
Definitely
European.
European.
Oh my God. Okay.
Hmm.
Sige, sir. Go on, sir.
Um.
Uy,
So
magtanong kayo, guys, ha? This is
yes.
so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for part one, we had different topics. We started out with uh, yeah, I think we started out with clothing. So he asked me what kind of clothes I like to wear.
How
Uh,
did you answer that, sir?
so for that one, I just said I always go for comfort. So I'm not really one to follow fashion trends. But if I have to, then I look it up online and I choose something that looks decent. So I
Nice.
went with that answer. And then
Galing Sir Ernan, magbaband na yun to guys, promise. Yan. Hindi.
hopefully.
Yeah.
And then after that, we started asking questions about what was that again?
So just
Yeah, it
one
was
question on clothing.
no sir. What was the next question? Yeah, like what were some clothes that were popular in my country? What kind of clothes do people wear?
Yeah.
So I started talking about well, I started with well, since the Philippines is tropical and really can't expect the weather, we have
Yeah.
clothing that's available for summer and clothing that's available for or that's good for the rainy season. We don't really have thick winter clothes since we don't have temperatures that drop too low. So that
Yeah.
would be that was the response. And
Did you
then
mention like your bag, your clothing? No.
no sir, I didn't get into that detail anymore.
Okay. All right.
And then
It's like
yeah,
Baguio clothing is so cool, right?
yeah. Only we get to wear jackets like in
Yeah,
my
only
picture.
like people wear boots, right?
We
Like
get to wear leather jackets.
leather jackets and high cut boots. That's so nice, right? Yeah. Sige,
So
sir.
what was the other question about clothing? I think pretty much. I can't remember the other one. From there, we shifted to a different topic already, sir.
Okay.
So yeah, it was sudden, but he suddenly went into asking about uh why I'm taking the IELTS exam. So I was hoping
Ooh,
that would have been the first part, but he asked it a little bit after.
okay.
And then there. So I said, so I'm looking to study in the United Kingdom. That's the reason that I use.
Mhm.
And then he went back on track to the exam. He
That's a
started
nice
at
collocation, guys, right? I'm looking to study in the United Kingdom. That's a collocation. Yeah. Sige,
uh,
sir.
sorry if you can hear my cat.
Yeah, the cat is in heat. That's okay, sir. That's okay. That's the world today, right? Your kids, your dogs barking. That's okay. Yeah. Uh,
I was yeah, he started during my exam. Anyway, the other topic that I listed on here, he started asking me about history. That's fun. So
okay.
he asked me if I enjoyed studying history, and to that I responded, I actually do. I would think of myself, I'm a history buff. I think of
Oh,
random
what a nice
history
what
facts.
a nice collocation.
Yeah, so
Vocabularies, yeah.
and then there, he also asked if history, if people from our country also enjoy studying history, which I did respond yes, because the Philippines has such a rich culture that history becomes one of the main things we learn. Although I don't think students enjoy it because it has a lot of memorization. There.
Okay. Very nice.
And then again, he shifted topics after that. So it's like two, three questions per topic, and then he suddenly shifts to a different one.
Okay.
So the last thing we talked about was
For part one
what?
yun pa rin, ha, last one.
Yeah, so part one, he started asking me what I like to do during my free time. Uh, and then there, I that's when I also responded that well, if I have the free time, I'd either try to write or read since I'm more of the I consider myself also part of someone who enjoys literary work. So there, and then he
Ah.
just started elaborating on that. And then
When you say write, sir, what do you write?
oh yeah, well, so part of what I do is I also ghostwrite. So if you guys
Ah,
aren't familiar,
oh, you mentioned that.
yeah,
Ghostwriting.
yeah, I did sir, because I actually did mention that it's something that I do on this as a sideline, as a side hustle. I
Oh, I like
do.
that term, guys. Write that down. Side hustle. Okay. Yeah, let's pick up from Sir Ernan. I tell you, this guy's gonna score 9. Yeah, go, 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 sir.
And there, he Yeah, that's actually where I picked up that. I think that's where he meant that I should have developed enough, or he had that comment, or after the exam, he
Oh,
said
you
some
did.
of my answers could have been developed enough. And
Oh,
if I'm going to think of it, I have to say it was that point because immediately after he asked me why, and I was
oh,
like, oh shoot, I forgot to give why.
I
So
see.
yeah, so
You asked why to which one?
to that question of why I enjoyed writing in particular.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then yeah,
Sir,
immediately
may I pick
after,
up on that?
yes sir.
What kind of articles do you write?
Oh, it actually varies, sir. Depends on the client.
Mhm.
But the ones usually assigned to me are related to politics, business, social sciences, psychology.
And where do these appear?
They're being used as submissions in universities by students who pretend that they wrote them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
So we
I
have
see.
clients from Singapore. Sometimes we do
Oh
have
my
clients from
God.
the US, which is weird for me. But yeah.
Oh wow. I see. So these are like their school projects and they pay
Yes,
for this.
sir. Some of them are
Oh,
even like for final submissions in the university.
oh
So
wow. And then like you have to research on it as well, right?
definitely, sir. It involves a lot of research work. You really have to dig up those details to manage to work
Uh,
that.
I think I did something like that like once. And then
um,
like how many words do you usually write?
well,
It
for
ranges.
if I'm going to give it a range, sir, it ranges from the least I would take is 500 words. The
Hmm.
most I've done 3,000. That's
Okay,
awesome. So, yeah.
I see. And how long do you need to submit this?
Um,
How soon?
so for the 500 words, it usually just takes, they do that like immediately. So
Like
they'll
in
give
one
it to
sitting?
you. Yeah, probably
Like
sir, like around 3 hours at the very least.
okay,
And
like
then
this
for
is
the three,
Ielts or something,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And then for the 3,000 words, they give you days for that because usually it involves research work. So
Oh,
you really have to
this
take
is
our
like
time.
a web page offering, right?
Um, no, sir. It's someone that
Freelance.
yeah, it's freelance. Some basically someone that I met started offering it to me, and since uh,
Mm,
I had a lot of free time, I took it up. And
okay.
then, so, but now
I
I'm
took it
actually,
up. That's a collocation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I, I don't take it up as much now because
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting bored of the research. But yeah.
Yeah, the research is the tough part, right? But do they like give you links for you to get started on?
No, no,
You
sir.
don't.
So I really have to scour the World Wide
Ooh.
Web for all of
Did
that.
you hear that word? Scour. The World Wide Web. Scour. Write that down, guys. Scour. SCOUR. Okay. I see. But all of this you never got to expand on.
No, sir. I
I
wasn't
don't
able
know.
to anymore because yeah.
I see. Sir, this pays dollars.
Um, no, sir. But basically, since I'm working through another person, it's already converted to peso. So he gets
Oh,
his
okay.
share before I get mine.
Okay, okay, okay. So nice. Sir, we're gonna post this on YouTube so that we can advertise that.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Sige, sir.
Please don't
This is an
forget to like,
important.
share, and subscribe.
Don't
Anyway.
forget to click like, share, and subscribe, or else you're gonna miss a lot. You're
Yeah.
like, don't blame us. It's
Right.
like we did all we could to remind you. Okay, sige, sir. We're still in
Right.
part one, huh?
Yeah, wait, no, sir. I was about to head to part two because we ended up with that question on, what was that again? Hobbies. Yeah, in our free time.
Okay.
And
Is there a
then,
follow up on hobbies? The
mm,
why part.
yeah, the why
Hobby.
part.
Mm-hmm.
After I answered that, which I said I just always been interested in writing, and I find it as more of an art rather than just a chore as some others would. So there. And
Yeah.
then
You
we
should see
quickly.
his writing, guys. I mean, so nice. Yeah. Very stylistic. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, there. And then immediately, sir, that's another thing that I noticed. He didn't even signal to me that we're in part two. He just told me, okay, now I'm just going to give you 1 minute. And I was like, oh wow. So so it's just
Okay.
really going to go as quickly as that.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to me, shared the screen, so
Mm-hmm.
I saw the question there. He didn't even say that I had 1 minute. He just told me, you can start preparing.
Okay.
So he did calm my attention the moment that my 1 minute was up. Yeah. Speaking of, the question was,
Mm-hmm.
describe an occasion where you had to wear formal clothing.
Mm-hmm.
What the occasion was,
Mm-hmm.
why you had to wear formal clothing,
Mm-hmm.
and how you felt about wearing formal clothing.
So this was flash on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Could you still see him, sir?
Yeah, I could still
Okay.
see him using the Zoom. I
All
use the
right.
Zoom application, so I could still see him
I see.
there
And
and there. And
if
then
like you had to have your own piece of paper, of course, right? You had to have it
um
ready.
he didn't exactly instruct me to do that, so I just opened up my notepad. So
Oh, you just open up the
yeah,
notepad on the computer.
and
Okay.
that's what I use. So
Mm.
from there,
There was a
he
timer, sir.
no, sir, he didn't show me a
Oh,
timer at all. He
come
didn't
on,
even
British
say.
Council. You can do better than that.
He didn't actually. Yes, and I had to feel it out myself. If am I close to
Yeah,
2 minutes or what?
right,
So
right.
there, and then yeah, basically he asked me to start, and I
Okay.
started discussing.
Sige, sir. What did you
So
answer? Well, that's a
um
fun topic. I mean, we can go
yeah,
on and on about it, right? Yeah.
so I opted to discuss that situation when I had an interview in the university, uh, way back. And so part of the requirement was that I had to wear formal clothing. They didn't mention anything specific. They just said formal clothing. So I opted for something that was a bit more smart casual. I told them that I wore
Smart
a
casual. Yeah.
long sleeve shirt, khaki pants, and leather shoes because I was looking to be more comfortable than just being presentable. And I also mentioned that it was something that I learned from one of my mentors back in college that if you want to feel confident, you gotta dress up, you gotta suit up. So that's exactly what I did. And upon I remember it right when I explained how I felt about it. I started talking about self-esteem and trying to present myself as being someone respectable, someone with a someone who is worthy of the position.
Oh.
And there,
Oh, these are collocations, guys. Yeah. Okay.
uh, we were trying. Oh, I should have written that down, but yeah, pretty much that was the gist of my
Mm.
part two. I
Gist. That's
just
Gist. Gist. Write
yeah,
that down, guys. Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I elaborated on all of that. The interesting part was that he didn't tell me if I was 2 minutes done. I just assumed I had 2 minutes already, so I chose to stop right there and then
Oh,
and
okay.
there. Um,
Okay.
he then gave me a follow-up question.
Then and there is a collocation, guys. Yeah.
He asked
Amen,
me,
oh. It's all over his speech now, guys. Yeah. Anyway. Sige, I just keep interrupting you whenever
no
I...
problem, sir. And
Yeah.
he asked me that follow-up. What was that again? Oh yeah, he asked me
Follow
if
up.
I often wear formal clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said no, especially right now since it's the pandemic, I have no reason to wear it. But even before, I really didn't appreciate feeling the
Yeah.
feeling of wearing formal clothing.
Yeah. That
And
was a
then
follow
there.
up. Mm-hmm.
So after the follow up, he did mention
It's
that now I'm
part
going to
three.
ask you
Oh, he
questions
did.
related. He didn't tell me part three, but he said I'll ask you questions related to our discussion. And
Okay.
then there. So he actually
Hey, this
threw
is the
some
juicy part. Yeah.
he threw some very interesting questions, and I felt like he was throwing me curveballs at that point.
Ooh, write that down, guys. That's a
I
call
didn't.
idiom. He was throwing me curveballs. Go, go, go. Oh,
I
sir,
was
is
like,
how they are. Like if they detect that you're really good, they'll throw you curveball.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like so surprised that I thought it was really going to be about formal clothing, and yes, it was. But then the first question he asked me was that about traditional clothing. So,
Okay.
what are the types of traditional clothing in your country?
Mm-hmm.
Um, First, I had to open it up with because I wasn't sure what I should choose. So I just mentioned, well, the Philippines being an archipelago, we have different places with their own version of traditional clothing. So I'll
Right.
just speak of the one that I know of, which would
Mm-hmm.
be the Barong Tagalog, which is,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the type of clothing made out of pineapple fibers. And
Mm-hmm.
then this was where he caught me with that minor preposition error,
Mm-hmm.
which I also laughed at.
Yeah.
Basically, I said that since Barong Tagalog was a bit transparent, you had
Mm-hmm.
to wear a shirt inside.
Yeah.
And I forgot, no, that shouldn't be inside. It should be underneath.
Underneath.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
to wear a shirt underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's interesting. So just to share with everyone, if we're aiming for the nine, I think our
Mm-hmm.
interlocutors have very sharp ears.
Okay.
He really caught that. And then yeah, so after traditional clothing,
Mm-hmm.
this was another question that I actually honestly did go a little bit off because his question was, do you think traditional clothing represents a country's values? Uh,
Ooh, wow.
I
Wow.
had to
That
buy
will
some time
curve
for
quite a
that.
lot.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
you
I
have to
had to
buy
buy
some
some
time.
time.
That's a
So
idiom, guys.
I told him like,
Mhm.
well, I didn't expect that type of question, but
You said,
thinking of it now, I went like that.
yeah, yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah.
And so the answer I gave him was that I really do think that it does because say for example in the northern region of our country, some
Mm-hmm.
people wore the G string, which basically meant they were half naked. And I
Mm-hmm.
related it to the weather, forgetting it was about the values.
Oh, okay.
So when I shifted and I talked about in the southern part of the Philippines, that's when I said conservative. So
Mm-hmm.
they opt to wear things that are a bit more conservative, showing
Mm-hmm.
that they are a bit more timid, or they're not as liberated or as one with nature as other
Okay.
parts. So
Guys, don't use shy, use timid. Okay. Yeah.
he caught me off guard there. So I
Mm-hmm.
only realized afterwards that yeah, I shouldn't have introduced the topic of
Weather.
weather.
But you're able to like uh, get
Yeah,
back on
sir.
track with that.
Yeah, because when
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually was observing his reactions. So that's when
Oh,
I felt like, did I say something? Because he
oh,
started
okay.
typing. He started typing and I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, okay, maybe I said something. And then, oops, yeah, okay. Values, values.
Okay. It's a good thing he allowed you that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, so
Okay.
that, so I can also give a tip. Try to observe your interlocutor. If
Mm-hmm.
they're, sometimes it's like their body language can tell you a lot.
True, true.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was one moment that I really did realize, oops, I said something
All
wrong.
right.
And then after traditional clothing, he went into generations.
Okay.
Um, do you think that the older people and the younger people have difference in terms of their preference for traditional clothes or formal
Mm,
clothes, something like
nice
that?
one. Yeah. Mm.
Um, and then there, since it was generational, I had to speak of a comparison. So
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
I
It's
went
like
first
a
with
it's a crossover.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
and yeah, I started off with I definitely would say that they have very polarizing choices or polarizing opinions when it comes to formal clothing. And
Whoa! Write that down, guys. Polarizing, meaning extremes, like the North and the South poles. Yeah.
yeah,
Polarizing. Yeah.
and I went like with the older people. It's something that they got used to wearing during their youth. So I wouldn't think that they look at it differently. So the way that older generations look at formal clothing, they actually look at it as casual. As compared to younger people today, where you now have all these options being thrown at them, streetwear, uh, all sorts of macabre fashion.
Macabre. Okay.
So
Macabre. What's
yes,
macabre fashion? Like leather jackets is macabre fashion, right?
um, synonymous to avant-garde. So I think they're
It's
more
like
of the
emo.
art. Yeah. So it's the type of fashion that we don't understand because we're
Oh, okay.
too.
Macabre. So that's like
Yes, sir.
Macabre.
Some people would read it as macabre, but from what I've
Macabre.
heard, it's
Macabre.
macabre.
Yeah, macabre. Yeah. Whoa, sir, that you're throwing the words. Like digest that, Mr. Examiner. That's another fiery word for you. Type that down.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
This year. Yeah, so pretty much that's how I went with that question. And then he followed it up again with, why do you think younger people prefer to be in fashion? So,
Oh, that's a cool question, right? Very interesting. Like older
yeah.
people don't care much, but younger people, yeah, right? Yeah,
Mm,
nice
I,
question.
so I chose I reasoned it out because of globalization. For the very reason that with the world being so connected already,
Mhm.
you have access to all sorts of different types of fashion, whether you're following people from France
Mhm.
or following people from the United States. You can already do that, or like what happened with South Korea with
Right.
the K-pop
Yeah,
hype.
I was thinking of K-pop, and you
uh,
did mention K-pop.
yes, sir. I did
Mhm.
mention the K-pop hype, and there.
The
That's why
K-pop
younger
hype.
people have so many choices.
Right. Nice
That's why.
answer. Yeah.
And then after that, what was his last question?
Wait, all this time, what was his reaction? Did you feel
Oh,
he was so
eh,
positive?
yes, sir. Because he was. There were.
He
I
was
was
nodding,
actually. He was nodding, and
he was smiling.
there were times I was laughing along with my
Uh-huh.
answers, so he would laugh along with me. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
it kind of got me in the. Yeah, it kind of got me in the momentum. so,
Yeah. That's a
so
that's a collocation, guys. Got me into the momentum. Yeah.
so I just kept
Got me
going
into
from
the
there.
rhythm. Yeah. Mhm.
That's why I felt like I knew exactly when I would say something that was a bit lacking because you could tell it from again his reactions.
Okay.
But yeah, forgot. I think that's all I remember. I should have noted most of that now.
The
And
last one was
then
like
yeah,
the why do young people follow
yeah,
fashion?
that's the last that I remember.
Mm, okay.
Right after that, he just gave me my feedback on there.
Okay. What was the feedback, sir?
Yeah,
So I guess this is what you pay for, right? The feedback. Because like everybody
exactly.
can just simulate a speaking test, right?
Yes, sir.
And
And
then suddenly you have this feedback from a British Council examiner. So what did he say, sir?
he actually went into first asking me what my he recalled that my target score was 9. So he
Mhm.
shared with me the
Mm.
band 9 descriptors. And
Ooh,
then
that's so nice. Sige, sige, sige. Let's talk about
he took it part by part.
it. Mm-hmm.
So like for example so you did mention that you want to have a band 9. Now the only thing that I could comment on was that some of your answers could have been developed enough.
Okay.
Although he didn't give an example there.
But
He just mentioned that
the way you
challenges.
remembered it, it was that
Yeah,
question about writing.
the way if I would think about it, that would have been the answer because he had the
Okay.
why follow up, but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
specify.
Okay.
And then he went into coherence. For your
Mhm.
coherence, you did manage to present your cohesive devices, but I'll try to focus on content related
I
comment.
will. Sorry, sir. Cohesive devices, guys, are on the other hand, initially, uh, to sum it up, those are cohesive devices. Yeah.
And then with
Mhm.
that, he told me that if you really want to get the 9, make sure that your answers are coherent to the question. And that's when he shared to me my response on
Ooh,
traditional clothing and values.
I see. All right.
So yeah,
Mm,
to making sure
that
that
was that was when he was typing.
yes, and I realized that I was like, oh yeah, I really missed that. And then
Mhm.
goes to show that don't just chase after fluency, because
Mhm.
I think that's a common mistake that many of us sometimes suffer from.
Yeah.
We're so focused on being spontaneous that we forget that we're trying to answer a question.
Nice. Nice
So,
tip. Don't
so
just chase after the fluency. That's a qualification. Chasing pavements. Okay.
Right. So
Mhm.
there, that's the comments that he had for my fluency and coherence. But
Mhm.
in relation to the others, he just read the others actually. And
Did he
actually,
mention about your great language?
sir,
Did he mention something about your great language?
ah, he went into the
Your great
other,
grammar, your like
yeah,
lexical resource and grammatical
yes, sir.
range. I
He
mean,
went
that's
into
really
the
your
other
strength, right? Yeah.
criteria.
Mhm.
So right after fluency and coherence, he went into vocabulary. And he
Mhm.
did mention that my range was good,
Mhm.
but he encouraged me to throw out a bit more of my idiomatic expressions.
Oh, okay.
Because if you actually really look at the
Yeah.
Band 9 descriptor,
Yeah.
it clearly says there, uses idiomatic expressions.
Oh,
So,
idioms, guys.
yeah.
Idioms. Yeah. You know,
And then when
some
I,
teachers they teach students not to use idioms. I mean, hello.
which is funny.
Yeah, like you better get the hell out of that program as soon as you can. Anyway, all right. Yeah,
So
idioms.
there.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then I thought back on it, and then yeah, I did realize that I fell short on that. I wasn't throwing too many of my idiomatic
Mhm.
expressions,
Mhm.
and yeah,
What about
so
the
I had
length?
to agree.
Did you mention about that?
All he said, sir, that my
Ah, yeah, that's
grammatical, my
idioms. Yeah,
vocabulary range was good,
yeah.
but idioms, that was the only
Ah,
other constructive comment he had.
okay, okay.
On grammar, like I said, this was the interesting part. If you're
Mhm.
aiming for the 9, just make sure to just remind yourselves that our examiners have very sharp ears. He did
Mhm.
mention that the errors I made were quite minor,
Okay,
but if you're aiming for the 9, he highlighted that clearly. They have to have few slips, few
okay.
grammatical slips.
All right.
Um, and he enumerated the ones I had, and the two that he caught were my mistakes in prepositions, the wearing
Okay.
under.
Under. Okay.
And then the other one was when I mistakenly mentioned when younger people are into the fashion, I should have dropped the article and
Into
it should have
fashion.
just into fashion. So
Okay.
those were the grammar mistakes he caught.
Yeah.
Um,
Those were just really minor, right?
hmm, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which was why it was like it impressed me, sir, that you really have sharp ears.
It was really sharp,
Yeah,
right?
because if that were me, I wouldn't have caught the into the fashion part.
Yeah.
But
Right. Right.
and
I
then even
see.
in pronunciation, he had a comment. He did although say that again, this was just to refine or what is this word? He just wanted to make sure that I avoid those errors or
Mm.
mistakes. So one was that because for me, I say our. I never, yeah, it should have been our.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's a
then
pronunciation. Mhm.
he noticed a little bit. He said there were times when I had my V sounds sounding a bit like W.
Like what, sir?
I think his example was development.
Okay.
So
Come on, Mr. Examiner.
yeah,
Let that
at that point,
pass.
I think he was nitpicking at
Mm.
that point.
Yeah, nitpicking. Yeah. Okay.
And then yeah, there after that, it pretty much ended already.
All right. And then in hindsight, sir, apart from the ones you mentioned,
Mm-mm. Uh,
anything apart from the tips that you already gave,
one,
like
well,
for example, the fact that it's over Zoom, for example, was that
mhm.
difficult? Like you had to make sure you had to have your. Oh wait. Did he ask you to like show your hands? Like your hand should be on the table or something?
No, sir. Actually, he didn't
No.
have any instructions prior
Okay.
to the start.
Because that was
So
the feedback from the other students who took like video conferencing. Like I need to see your hands on the table.
I see. Or probably, sir, because I made sure that my half of my body was already seen, and
Okay.
I was actually using gestures, even though it's just through Zoom.
Oh, so that was a requirement. I had to see half of your body.
No, he didn't really mention.
Oh, okay.
I took the initiative to do it. So
Okay.
there.
What about on his part? Like,
Yeah,
could you see like? Mhm.
it was the same for him. I could see about from his head, shoulder down.
Okay. Okay.
And
Mm,
then
mm,
yeah, he didn't have instructions, so I really couldn't give something on that one.
okay.
But if there's anything that
Nice.
I can suggest, he
Mm,
well, like I mentioned to the examiner, I actually took that situation as something. One of the questions that he had was, "What was my difficulties?" Just to share, what do you think? What do I think would be difficult about the exam? And one
Oh,
of the
he asked you.
difficulties he asked me before we started
Mhm.
about the speaking exam, and I said I think it's trying to balance the idea that you have to be conversational while remembering that you're taking a formal exam.
A balance between them.
Yeah, and to me that's
Okay.
one of the main difficulties because it's
Mhm.
sometimes so easy to cross that line
I see.
when you get too comfortable and you just start
Right.
talking. I think that's what
Right.
happened to me. So that's why I strayed off from the topic because I
Right.
got too comfortable. But you have to remind yourself that
Collocation, guys. Straight off.
being
Yeah. Hmm.
you're being assessed, you're being evaluated.
Hmm.
So if
I
anything,
see.
while you're maintaining that conversational approach,
Yeah.
keep on mind the question. Remember
All
those
right.
keywords. Just like in writing, somehow you
Right. Just
have
like in
to
writing. Yeah.
cardinal rule
Cardinal
there too.
rule too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. I see.
that's the biggest lesson I got from that speak up, and I will forever remember that question.
So nice. And like, did you ever ask him anything? Were you
I
allowed to do that?
I actually did, sir, and he
Hmm.
only offered me like I only got to ask one question, and then he said he
Yeah.
had no more time. But the
Okay.
question I asked was because since his focus was on fluency and coherence, I although it's a question we already answered, sir, but I asked him, is there a particular length of answer that you're looking for?
Hmm.
And then I think his answer was something that everyone should know. As long as the examiner is satisfied, they can stop you there, and then they'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
So I think
Mhm.
that's why many of our students right now or our examinees have been experiencing being stopped,
The interrupting examiner.
the interruptions, because
Hmm.
as per my interlocutor, he said,
Hmm.
once we're satisfied, we'll move to the next question.
Okay. I see.
So there.
Okay. So nice. Mm, okay. I'm sure the students have questions, but we'll stop the recording at this point, guys. And then let's get into your questions. Hold on, guys. Where is that? Where's the recording? Oh, there. There it is. Okay.